Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I'm reading the Marvel New Year's Eve Special Infinite. Now, what this is it's a digital comic. It's only available on the Marvel app. It's written by Charlemagne the God. If you're familiar with the radio host, he is just as funny as he is irreverent. This comic is basically him doing, and you really have to listen to one of his radio shows to really get the gist of what this guy is. He's hysterical and sometimes in all the wrong ways, but he wrote a comic. He was actually the writer of this comic, and basically starts off with him giving a huge speech about the problem with the criminal profession and about Norman Osborn specifically. And he gives him the Donkey Award. So that was great. So he's holding a party, he's hosting it, he's got a whole bunch of heroes coming. It's going to be at Avengers Tower, and all the villains are trying to get in there so that they can go after him, so they could beat up the good guys and they could try and kill him, especially Norman Osborn. He really wants to take this guy out. So when he gets turned away at the door, as he puts it, embarrassed at the door, the other villains come up and they team up with him and say, get us in and we'll cover your butt so that the good guys can't protect Charlemagne when you go after him. Well, Norman gives them a bunch of goblin gliders. They all go in, and sure enough, they're butting heads with each other while Norman goes right after him. Charlemagne tries to hide in the closet. And can you tell this is a funny comic? And Green Goblin is in there waiting for him, Norman Osborn. So they start chasing each other. And finally, it comes to a revelation that Charlemagne became an Inhuman. His plane was flying through some Terrigen mist, and it turns out he's an Inhuman. I don't fully understand how the power works, but it's basically like it almost looks like a version of Black Bolt's power, but with paralysis, and it freezes the bad guys, and they're not as strong all of a sudden, and they all get chomped. So it's a funny, but and then they're chilling out. He makes a Black Lives Matter comment to Steve Rogers, which is pretty funny. He's apparently the guy who suggested that Luke Cage shave his head because the tiara thing wasn't working. There's some really funny moments in here. I really like the comic. If you have the app, it's worth reading. Is this worth reading if you don't have the app? Is it worth buying the app just so you could read this? Absolutely not. But it is a really funny comic, and I highly recommend checking it out if you got the app, even though it's a bit after New Year's. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.